Welcome, friends. This is Three Keys to a Peaceful Life, a short series on three timeless teachings from the Buddha. Episode 1, The Trap of Chasing Happiness. Episode 2, The Wisdom of Emptiness. Episode 3, The Reality of Dukkha, the suffering we all share. These aren't abstract ideas, they're practical truths, alive in everyday life, that can help us breathe easier, soften our hearts, and walk with more peace. Let's begin. Episode 3, Facing Dukkha. When you fall in love, that's also when suffering begins. Strange, isn't it? In Buddhism, life itself is described as dukkha, not just pain, but unsatisfactoriness. When you love but your feelings aren't returned, that is suffering. When you do succeed in love and then spend every day fearing you might lose it, that too is suffering. It sounds heavy at first, but the Buddha wasn't trying to make us despair. He was showing us a truth we all feel in our bones, that life, even in its sweetest moments, carries a shadow of fragility. Part 1, the first teaching. Life is dukkha. After awakening under the Bodhi tree, the very first teaching the Buddha gave was about this, dukkha. Not because he thought life was worthless, not because he wanted us to give up on joy. He pointed to suffering for the same reason a doctor points to an illness, so healing can begin. If you don't see the wound, you cannot treat it. The Buddha looked directly at life and said, here is suffering. Birth, aging, sickness, death, separation from what we love, closeness with what we don't, chasing after what always slips away. But he didn't stop there. He said, there is also a cause, and there is also a path that leads out of suffering. So when Buddhism says life is suffering, it isn't condemning life, it's preparing us for freedom. Imagine this. You visit a doctor with chest pain. She says, it's nothing, just ignore it. That may comfort you for a day, but the illness grows. Now imagine she says, yes, this is serious, but there's treatment, and here's the medicine. That honesty, even if it stings, is the beginning of healing. The Buddha's first teaching was like that. He named the pain not to depress us, but to open the door to hope. Part 2, the three faces of dukkha. The Buddha didn't just say life is suffering and leave it there. He opened it up, showed its layers, like lifting the lid off a box. There are three main kinds of dukkha, and when you see them clearly, you stop being surprised by them. The first is the pain of pain. This one is easy to recognize. Physical pain, emotional pain, the sore knee that won't heal, the heartbreak when someone leaves. Nobody likes it, but at least we know it when it's here. The second is the pain of change. This one is subtler. Even the good things we cherish are constantly shifting. Your children grow up and leave home. Your hair turns silver. A job you loved ends. We want the pleasant moments to stay frozen. But they don't. The Buddha said, because all things change, clinging to them brings suffering. The third is the pain of conditioning. This is the deepest. It's the quiet unease of being trapped inside a restless mind, of living in a body and world built on causes we didn't choose. Even when nothing bad is happening, there can be a hum of dissatisfaction, like a radio just off station. That too is dukkha. Seeing these three faces of dukkha isn't meant to make you gloomy. It's meant to give you X-ray vision. So the next time pain appears or a good thing changes or that quiet unease shows up, you can whisper to yourself, this is dukkha. This is part of life. And in that recognition, a little space opens. The second arrow of surprise and outrage doesn't land. Because once you know how the game is played, you stop taking every bump personally. Part 3, why understanding dukkha is liberating. Now here's the surprising part. At first, hearing life is suffering might sound discouraging, but really it's the opposite. Because once you know suffering is woven into life itself, you stop expecting perfection. And when you stop expecting perfection, so much pressure falls away. Think about aging. One day you notice a wrinkle or a gray hair or that your knees don't move the way they used to. If you believe life should always stay the same, those changes feel like betrayal. But if you see this too is dukkha, the pain of change, then the sting softens. Instead of fighting the tide, you flow with it. Or think about disappointment. Maybe your retirement plans shifted. Maybe your adult children made choices you didn't expect. If you hold tightly to the story, life must follow my script, you suffer twice. Once from reality, once from resistance. But when you accept, dukkha is part of the deal, you suffer less. The load lightens. And here's another gift. Compassion grows. When you know that everyone carries dukkha, the neighbor who snaps at you, the coworker who seems distant, even the friend who looks like they have it all together, you see them differently. Instead of enemies, you see fellow travelers on the same rough road. So the Buddha's teaching wasn't a message of doom. It was a message of realism that blossoms into kindness. Because when you stop demanding that life be perfect, you can finally start living it as it is, with more gentleness, more patience, more peace. Part 4. Daily Practices. So how do we live with this truth of dukkha without getting weighed down by it? The Buddha didn't just diagnose the illness. He gave us medicine, small, practical ways to work with suffering. First, name it when it appears. Next time stress hits, maybe you're stuck in traffic, maybe the body aches, maybe a loved one disappoints you, pause and say softly to yourself, "This is dukkha." It sounds simple, but naming it changes everything. Instead of taking it personally, you recognize it as part of the human condition. Second, shift the question. Most of us react to suffering by asking, "Why me?" That question only deepens the wound. Try asking instead, "Given that dukkha is here, how can I respond wisely?" That shift takes you out of victim mode and puts you into freedom mode. Third, practice acceptance in the small moments. You don't have to wait for big tragedies to train this muscle. Try it when your dinner is too salty, when the flight is delayed, when the Wi-Fi drops out. Whisper, "This too is part of life." Over time, you'll find you bend more easily when the big storms come. Fourth, hold joy lightly. Even the good things are impermanent. When something wonderful happens, a reunion, a success, a beautiful day, enjoy it fully. But remember, it too will change. Holding joy with open hands keeps gratitude alive without clinging. These little practices are like weaving threads into cloth. One by one, they create a fabric of steadiness. You won't erase dukkha, but you'll stop being crushed by it, closing, returning to peace. So friends, when the Buddha said life is dukkha, he wasn't giving us bad news. He was giving us a map. Because when you see suffering clearly, you stop being shocked by it. You stop thinking you're the only one. And in that honesty, freedom begins. Dukkha doesn't mean life is not worth living. It means life is fragile, changing, imperfect, and therefore precious. Every smile, every breath, every cup of tea matters more, not less, because it will not last forever. So the next time hardship appears, try whispering, "Ah, this too is dukkha." And the next time joy appears, whisper, "This too will pass, so let me savor it fully." The Buddha said he taught one thing, suffering and the end of suffering. To see dukkha is the first step. To walk the path beyond it is the journey of a lifetime. Take a breath with me now, in and out. May that breath remind you, nothing is stuck and peace is always possible, even here, even now. Thank you for joining me today. If this talk helped you, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more reflections. And I'd love to hear from you. What does this teaching on dukkha mean in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, may you meet each moment with patience, kindness, and a steady heart. And with this reflection on dukkha, we come to the close of this series, 3 Keys to Peaceful Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you take away from these episodes? If you'd like me to continue creating series like this, let me know in the comments below. Your feedback will guide the path forward. Thank you for walking this journey with me.